10 world leaders are in Kyiv to mark 3 years since Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Ukrainian President Zelensky says he's proud of Ukraine and is thankful to everyone who defends and supports it. The Ukrainian president says he wants peace and tells our Ian panel, if needed, he's even willing to resign to make that happen. This comes after Russia launched the largest drone attack of the war so far. Meanwhile, Zelensky's under pressure from the Trump administration to sign a controversial agreement giving the U.S. access to hundreds of billions of dollars worth of Ukrainian resources. ABC's Patrick Reevell is in Kyiv. So, Patrick, what's the latest on these talks?
Hi, Dan. Yeah, we're here in Kyiv on the 3rd anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion. And there has been some movement around these talks on this resource deal that the Trump administration has been pressuring Ukraine to sign. We understand from a Ukrainian government source that that deal a draft has been finalized from the Ukrainian side. We believe that it may even be signed potentially today. The Ukrainians have also suggested that if it is signed, that potentially it could be signed between Ukrainian and American leaders in Washington, which we said that's not confirmed. We just know that that is something they have floated publicly. This deal initially would see hundreds of billions of dollars being paid back to the US, basically via a fund that was going to be funded using Ukraine's resources. It would give the US rights to things like oil and gas, minerals, ports, infrastructure. But here in Kyiv today, we're also seeing a flood really of European and Western leaders coming to show solidarity with Zelensky on this 3rd anniversary. We've seen the UK as well as the European Union announce fresh sanctions, as well as pledging several billion more in aid to Ukraine. But this deal, if it is signed between Ukraine and the United States, would be a major development. It would be a major development in President Trump's push to try and end this war. But as I say, for now, we have not heard whether it has been confirmed, but we are seeing movement in that direction at the moment, Diane.
Patrick, you spoke with former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson. He supports this deal. So what's he saying about why?
Hi, Dan. Yeah, we just actually spoke with former Prime Minister Boris Johnson a few minutes ago, just here, and he has been a very strong supporter of Ukraine when he was Prime Minister. And, I'm going to let you listen to a little bit of what he said just now.
It's a tragic anniversary. It's a disgrace that the war is continuing, and we've got to get it finished. We've got to get Putin out and defeated as soon as possible. I must say that I don't like a lot of the language that I'm hearing at the moment about how Ukraine started the war, or how Zelensky is a dictator or kills American journalists. All this is complete and utter nonsense. I mean, you might as well say that America launched an attack on Japan at Pearl Harbor, right? It's just nonsense. But there are some positive things that we're seeing from the Trump administration, some positive moves that I still think can deliver peace.
Can I ask, what are those positive
moves? Well, I
moves?
think if you look at the agreement they're trying to strike today, as we stand here, between the United States and Ukraine on rare earths and on minerals, actually. There's some great stuff in there for Ukraine. Great stuff about the United States being committed to a free, sovereign, secure Ukraine. Great stuff about the United States being committed under Donald Trump to investing more in the security of Ukraine. Great stuff about more long-term financial support for the stability and development of Ukraine. I mean, I'm sure you've read the draft as well, but that is good. What needs to happen now, frankly, is that needs to be agreed. And then the Europeans later this week, the UK, the French, need to be going to Donald Trump and saying, hey, here's our proposal to back you up with a deterrent force on the ground in Ukraine to help protect the Ukrainians, to fortify them after you've got that deal done. And those are the most important steps. What we should also do is unfreeze that $300 billion of Russian assets that are currently sitting, a lot of them in Belgium. Use those to help the Ukrainians. And we did it with Saddam Hussein.
You referenced the language that's coming out of the Trump administration, and from President Trump himself, who's called Zelensky a dictator. He said that he's doing a terrible job, and he's blamed him for the war. I mean, you said that's nonsense. Why do you think President Trump is saying these things?
I think it's obvious to me. I mean, I think he has some people that he listens to. He listens to a great variety of people quite properly. He has some people who take a very Ukraine skeptic line. That's fair enough. And, you know, people like some of, you know, Tucker Carlson or whoever who basically think Putin's a great guy. I don't happen to agree with that. I think Donald Trump listens to a wide variety of people, but what I think he's trying to do is negotiate. And this whole the ugly passage of rhetoric began about 10 days ago, as far as I can remember, when the talks fell apart between Scott Bessent and
on the resources deal.
So, you know, let's get through this passage, get the resources deal done. And, you know, people will say, and they're saying it in Ukraine, oh, the resources deal is terrible, it's rapacious, it's extortionate. Don, give me a break. Remember 1941. The great Republic, the United States of America, did not come in for 2 years to help the UK. And they had Lend-Lease. We gave up lots of our bases. We gave up sovereign UK territory to America in exchange for some pretty useless rust bucket destroyers. And we were paying back. The United States, for Lend-Lease, the UK taxpayer was paying back the United States of America until 2006, when Ed Balls was Economic Secretary to the Treasury and Tony Blair was Prime Minister. So what I'm saying to you is America, I believe under Donald Trump, is going to continue to be the arsenal of democracy around the world, can continue to support Ukraine in its agony and in its need. But it is always the American way, quite sensibly, to demand compensation and to ask a price. And that is what, you know, that's what Congress did in the early 40s. That's what Congress is doing now.
So you heard Boris Johnson there, basically giving his interpretation of what he thinks Donald Trump is doing. You heard him criticize the rhetoric that was coming from the Trump administration, saying that it's nonsense that President Zelensky is a dictator. But he said that he believes the reason Donald Trump is doing this is that he's trying to negotiate. He's trying to force the Europeans to step up, and that he believes also it's because he wants America to make sure that it gets paid back, that it gets compensated for its support. I think the problem for many Europeans here still is that they are less confident that it is only rhetoric. They worry that actually they are seeing a fundamental shift in American support for Europe and its position in providing itself as a guarantor of European security. But I think, you know, if this deal happens, this deal on resources, that will be a major, major development in this process that we've seen Donald Trump begin in trying to end this war. But I think there is a great deal of uncertainty and anxiety here among European leaders, Diane.
All right, Patrick Reevell in Kyiv, thank you.